What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Fiction Empire. As today is Star Wars Day, I've decided to do a special video. I'm going to dive into an alternate timeline where instead of Palpatine saving Anakin, he instead made a clone of Anakin and left the real Anakin to burn and die on Mustafar. However, before we start the video for today, I would like to remind you that if you do enjoy the content, make sure you do smash a like on the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that too. Alright, so let's get on with the video. It is 19 BBY and Obi-Wan Kenobi has just defeated Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar, and just like the normal timeline, Obi-Wan heads back to the ship and takes Padme to seek immediate medical attention. However, unlike the normal timeline, Palpatine does not go to Mustafar to save Anakin. Instead, he heads to Kamino, where he uses a sample of Anakin's DNA to start making a fully functioning clone of Anakin. The clone of Anakin would then awake, with his eyes Sith yellow and his body in perfect condition, without the scars that he got in the battle against Kenobi. Anakin would smash the glass of the tube that was holding him and march obediently towards his master. He would bow down to his master and say, "I'm at your bidding, master." Palpatine would chuckle in his evil manner, then glare at Vader. Out of nowhere, Palpatine would blast a large bolt of Force lightning at Vader, making him fall to the ground in agony. Palpatine would then say, "You will not make the same mistake that the Vader before you made. He was weak and arrogant of his abilities, and it almost cost us everything. Do you understand me?" Vader would freeze for a second and then say, "Yes, my master." Palpatine would then stop firing the bolts of lightning at him, and with an evil grin on his face. Vader would clamber back up onto his feet, still in excruciating pain from the Force lightning. After a couple of moments of silence, Palpatine would then say, "Lord Vader, your new mission is to hunt down all the remaining Jedi, and you will not stop until you have killed them all, or turn them over to the dark side of the Force." Vader would not hesitate and say, "Yes, my master." Similarly to the normal timeline, Vader would scour the galaxy in search of the remaining Jedi. However, in this timeline, Vader would be much more efficient in killing the Jedi, as he was much more powerful and his judgment wasn't clouded by his hatred towards the Jedi. As even though he had Anakin's body, he did not have his experiences or memories that Anakin had, meaning that he was simply a cold-blooded killer, and was not killing out of anger for the Jedi Order, but because he was programmed to do so. Elsewhere, things had not changed that much from the normal timeline. Padme still will have died whilst giving birth to Luke and Leia, and Obi-Wan still took Luke to live with his aunt and uncle on Tatooine. Leia was still adopted by Bail Organa and his wife as well. Yoda would also go into exile on the Dagobah system as well, like the normal timeline. However, not everything was the same. The real Anakin was still alive on Mustafar, living off pure hatred, just like Darth Maul had done. He had fashioned himself artificial legs from a junkyard on Mustafar, and even though he was able to walk, he was pretty much inhumane. His insides were on fire, and his face was completely burnt, just like the original timeline. Despite Anakin's critical health condition, once he had built his new legs, he got off Mustafar by finding a ship in one of the old Separatist bases. He would then travel to Mortis, where perhaps he could regain his former strength and conquer the galaxy for himself and his wife Padme, who he did not know had died in childbirth. Anakin's clone, who is now Darth Vader, would find Master Yoda in this timeline, as he was able to sense his presence as he was stronger with the Force. Vader would land on Dagobah with a battalion of stormtroopers to make sure they finished the mission if Vader was to fail. Yoda was smart though. He had sensed a dark presence, so he hid himself within a cave on the planet's surface. Vader and his troops would scour the planet for hours in search of the Jedi Master, but would have no luck. They would continue to search for days, and would lose many troopers because of the hostile conditions. Vader was not going to give up hope though, as it was in his programming to destroy the Jedi, so he wasn't going to leave until he had killed Yoda. Vader also knew that eventually Yoda would show himself. He would just have to be patient. Yoda grew hungry, as there was no food within the cave, and he knew that at some stage he would have to leave to get food. But as he was so hungry and tired after being in the cave for days on end, he was in no condition to fight. However, Yoda knew that he had to get food supplies so that he could survive. Immediately after he left the cave, he was bombarded with blaster fire from stormtroopers. However, after losing his lightsaber in the Senate building in his duel against Palpatine, he was defenseless, so he'd have to dodge all of the blaster fire and climb up into the trees and get out of sight once more. Vader would hear the blaster fire and go over to see what was going on. Vader was then informed that Yoda had ran up a tree and they had lost sight of him. Vader would raise his hand and with one force push knock over the surrounding trees. This caught Yoda off guard, and led him tumbling onto the floor right in front of Vader. Yoda, unlike the other Jedi Vader had fought, did not accept his fate and would stretch out his green wrinkled arm and force Vader's red lightsaber into his hand. Yoda, realizing Vader was vulnerable, would charge him down. Yoda was just about to strike Vader down when a red lightsaber was plunged right through his chest. It was Palpatine. Yoda would drop to the floor and hear the evil laugh of Palpatine from behind him. Yoda was not dead yet though. The lightsaber had just missed his heart, and with his dying breaths, he would give all of the energy he had left into leaping back into the air and slicing off Vader's head. Both of them would drop simultaneously onto the floor lifeless. Palpatine would let out a cry of anger. Vader was key in establishing his full power of the galaxy, but now he was dead. Yoda would then disappear and become one with the Force. Okay, I'm going to end it there for today. I will release a part 2 of this fanfiction next week. I hope you enjoy the rest of Star Wars Day, and may the 4th be with you.